Good morning, comrades. If things sound a little bit different today, and if things look a little bit different today, it's because I'm hanging out in the goddamn woods. I am out uh, in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, not the Smoky Mountains, Blue Ri- Blue Ridge Mountains. I got Dean here. Hold on. All right, so I got it wrong. It's the Blue Ridge
Already,
Mountains.
he's not even been on for 5 minutes, and he's already getting stuff wrong.
38 seconds.
38 seconds. So it's the Blue Ridge Mountain Range
Mhm.
is the entire mountain range,
Okay.
and the Smoky Mountains are a section of the mountain range.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we looked this up yesterday. Me and Scott in April.
Wow. Couldn't y'all have done like something more interesting than be pedantic about which mountains we're particularly in right
No,
now?
it's very important.
Okay.
This is
How long did this take? Like 20 minutes of your life? 10 minutes of your life?
Not even 20 minutes. It was like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Gary was in the mountains. Gary and Chat was in the mountains, and he left the mountains, and now we're in the mountains. Where did you go, Gary? Which mountains did you go to? Do you know which particular range? Did you look it up? Like this asshole over here. I got Dean on over here on the show. He doesn't have a shirt on, so we're not gonna put him on camera.
Yeah.
We don't want to violate TOS.
Or male nips violate TOS?
I think if you don't have, if you're not like in,
Should we go in the hot tub?
well,
Hot tub stream?
I was thinking we should do a hot tub stream probably either later tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, we're crashing at a cabin out in the woods. Me, my couple of my brothers, my mom, my wife, and friend. So we're just hanging out here. We got Austin Gonzalez coming up on for a little bit. He's going to talk about Venezuela. But yeah, you're in the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, cool. That's a big mountain range. That is a large mountain range of very different mountains. Because we have like alluvial, not like it, like older mountains.
Yeah,
basically.
no, we looked this up. So I looked this up last time I went. We went to Georgia like 2 or 3 months ago. So the Smoky not the Blue Ridge Mountains. I'm already doing it. So the Blue Ridge Mountains are a lot older. That's why they are more rounded and grown on, whereas the Rocky Mountains are newer. So they're not as weathered down. So the weathered down gives it the round shape.
Yeah.
So because it's
I
newer
knew that one
range,
already.
okay,
I didn't.
know
You need
that.
to look that up.
But like the Blue Ridge Mountain Range is like millions of years old, and
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Whereas I think the Rocky Mountains are like hundreds of thousands of years old, something like that.
Yeah. Come on, like it's baby mountains.
Yeah,
baby mountains. Those mountains don't even count. It's not real.
We're in old style mountains.
We're in the old mountains. We're in the classic mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mountains where the great American colonists decided to like, hey, we want to go we want to go to war because we can't go with fight with Native Americans.
Well, this is where they were
by
like
the mountains over there.
This is where they were stopped for a while. They were like, oh man, those mountains sure are big.
Yeah,
it's just
and the king says don't go past them.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it was because of the Indians. But once we got in here, man, did we destroy those Indians?
We fucked them up. Fucked up, man. Fucked up.
I remember we went. Oh,
go ahead.
So I remember we went to for the reenactment at the battlefield. We went to a thing at it was around Mobile. Maybe it was North Mobile, but they were the Andrew Jackson came.
Oh God.
And they were
actually Andrew Jackson, the
Andrew
corpse
Jackson.
of Andrew Jackson reanimated as a zombie.
Yeah, I think this was before he was president, when he was a general.
An extremely racist zombie.
Well, yeah. So there were these Creek Indians. Is Horseshoe Bend? That's where it is. I think it's Horseshoe Bend, Alabama. So Horseshoe Bend, it loops around in like a bend, and
horseshoe shaped.
Yes, and there were Indians that were, or Native Americans that were living on like the end of the peninsula kind of thing.
Okay.
Right. And
on the bend.
There was two different types of Creek Indians. There was the red stick and the brown stick, I believe.
Wow.
And so what Andrew Jackson did, he went to the brown stick and we're like, hey, we won't kill you if you help us fight the red stick Indians. Because the red stick Indians, I think, were more aggressive.
Yeah, classic.
In their
Classic.
Yeah, and so he was like, "Hey, we won't hurt you. We won't kill y'all if you help fight us."
Yeah.
So
divide and conquer shit.
Yeah. So they do it, and they massacre a bunch of Indians.
Yeah,
which is very cool.
If that does not explain Andrew Jackson in like one short story, I don't know what does.
Well, no. This is what explains Andrew Jackson is that. So then I believe he goes down to New Orleans, helps fight in the Battle of New Orleans, and then afterwards he comes back up,
massacre some more.
Yeah, tells the brown stick Indians to get out or we're gonna murder you. So classic misdirection.
Got him. All right, so we got Austin G coming in right now. Austin, what's going on, buddy?
Hello. Happy to be here. How you doing?
I cannot hear you, but that might be my problem.
It could be my problem.
I can't hear you, bud.
You can turn off my mic.
Hold on. Yeah, your mic's off, Dean. Can you give me hold on 1 second, everybody. Can you give me a pair of headphones? Hey, man, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Oh, shit. I got a whole different setup going on right now. Because I'm on vacation, so I figured I could pull it off. So I'm like missing like one last piece. Let me see if I'm even getting levels from you. Wait,
anything.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
Test.
I could just put it through the sound.
Test.
Can I hear you now?
Can you hear me now?
No.
Test.
Say something.
Something. Hold on. Let me try without my microphone. It could be my mic.
Okay. Uh oh. Wait, I don't know. Hold on. Yeah, I can get audio. All right, let's do this. Audio default speakers.
Can you hear me right now?
My audio is working. Huh.
Nothing.
I can't hear you. I just checked it. It's the things. We need podcasting. I have cans at the house. Hello, the Cheblek. How you doing? Are you ready to sing on your computer, Austin? Can you see that you're getting sound in?
Let me see.
By the way, I love that.
I think so. I can hear my
these days, Dean. Whenever you see somebody, like anytime an interview starts up, there's like 10 minutes all the time of just like trying to fix the sounds. It's just what things are like now because everything's live.
Yep.
Podcasts are too polished. Yeah, this is reality, baby. I can't hear you, bud. Can y'all, if you can hear Austin, say so in chat because I can't hear him.
Say something.
I don't need him. Yeah, try leaving and re-enter and see what happens.
Sure.
Yeah, try that and see what happens. All right, we're gonna get this right. Hold on. Hey, what's up?
Hello.
Hey, I can hear you. We got it.
Damn, it worked. You see, just unplug it and plug it right back in.
So I work in computers right now, right? So like I'm a teacher for my like normal day job, but like since COVID, things have been kind of like totally messed up because of just the way things go. And I didn't go back to school this year because of like all the chaos that surrounded that. We tried to get us my union local board organized so that we could actually like fight to like stay out longer and get a better, like less horrible situation. But they basically threw us back to school in August. Like
it's awful.
And anyway, I started working on computer type stuff for a little while, and basically the way to fix everything is to either unplug it, plug it back in, or turn it off and turn it back on. It's great.
Oh yeah, I worked in phone stores for a long time, and we even had a term for it, the quote unquote soft reset, which literally just meant you're just turning it off and turning it back on.
But that sounds technical. That sounds technical and it sounds smart. It's industry lingo, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It would make people feel good. They'd be like, how did you fix it? I'd be like, oh, don't worry. I gave it a soft reset. You're good. And literally all I did was turn it off and on. So works every time.
That's awesome. So just jumping in, we have Austin Gonzalez. Austin Gonzalez is on the National Political Committee of Democratic Socialists of America. He's also on involved with the International Committee. He just came back from a delegation to Venezuela through DSA. He also went to Peru. I guess you want to talk about both of those a little bit. First off, I guess we can start off with why are we doing this? Why so I'm a DSA member myself. I've been involved for 4 years. And like I'm just sort of curious, just generally, and maybe our audience is so as well, why are we sending delegations to other countries in Central and South America?
Absolutely. That's an important question, right? Why we should take a step back and think about exactly like you're saying, why exactly are we even doing this, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the most important reason is being there, actually physically being there when people across the world, when fellow socialists across the world are in these moments of intense struggle, like they were in Peru for this recent election, like they have been in Venezuela for quite a while now, right? It is so critically important for a couple different reasons. One, it shows the people there that we're really serious about solidarity with them. And I'll get into a little bit of what that really felt like on the ground. And two, learning from these countries, right? Learning from these other movements, right? Not being so insular, right? Not thinking that we in the United States or in the quote unquote global north or whatever have all the answers, right? Looking to movements across the world, seeing where movements across the world have had successes and where they've had failures, right? That's critically important. We should look to countries where socialists have been in power and seeing, well, what went wrong, right? What did you guys learn from this experience that we can hopefully take back here to the United States as well? And the third reason, which might even be the most important, I might argue, is that being in the United States, I think we have a responsibility to combat our own government, so to speak, which is the number one force in stamping out any socialist projects across the world. So I think there's a responsibility here, especially in the United States, to go to these places, be there in person, and actually learn from these people, talk to these people, and show these people that folks in the United States care about them. People in the United States want to learn from them, you know, and
just to, like
both cases.
Just to pause a little bit and
no, you're good. Go ahead.
Just to pause a little bit and expand on what you're talking about in terms of the we talk about it a little bit on this show, but when you say that what the U.S. is responsible for doing in Latin America, I guess you could say. What do you mean by that? What is the U.S. doing down there? We're not being good boys and girls, and we're not in envies, and we're not just like watching and making sure that everybody's just having a good time.
No, the United States is totally just out there creating more freedom in the world. The more countries we intervene in, the more freedom we create. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, just look. Gosh, I think Venezuela is probably the more visceral example, right? Mm-hmm. Literally, the implementation of strategy of let's blockade them, let's sanction them, let's isolate them, let's make conditions so intolerable in Venezuela for the average Venezuelan that they are forced to take the streets, that let's make conditions so bad that it's impossible for them to literally put food on their tables, so that they are forced to take the streets, right? And how does the United States do that? Well, the United States has access to global capital, right, in ways that no other country does, right? So the United States has a very unique ability to be able to isolate a country financially. And if they isolate a country financially, it's a wrap, right? You know, when I was in Venezuela, I talked to people, average people. I talked to working Venezuelans. You know, I talked to every kind of aspect of society you could imagine, and they would describe to me once again the real material ways that a financial blockade, right? Since this technically isn't a military blockade, right? It is a financial blockade. They described to me how a financial blockade and how devastating it can be, right? Because even because of how much influence and access to global capital the United States has, all it takes is the United States to tell a German company or a Swiss company something to the effect of, hey, if you deal with Venezuelans, we are not going to deal with you, right? All that takes, just that threat reverberates, right? What that means is that though technically it's the United States that's applying the most pressure on Venezuela, because of the United States' influence across the world and because of it being, you know, the world superpower, that reverberates, right? That makes it almost impossible for Venezuela to do business or work with any other countries in the world. We went to one of their main factories, right? They call it their factory of factories, because this factory is designed to make parts for other factories, right? Hence the name, factory of factories, right? And they described to us how they had like machines from other countries, like they had like generators and things like that from other countries, but they were unable to use them because they were unable to get like the keys, right? The keys that actually operate them. And the reason they can't get the keys is because those countries don't want to deal with them anymore. So Venezuela, because of the financial blockade, because of the sanctions, has essentially been forced to almost recreate every aspect of their society once again, just to be able to put food on the table, right? And Venezuela as well, I should mention, is a very particular case in that being a country that historically was so very allied with the United States, you know, the United States was its number one purchaser of its national resource, oil, right? Because of how tied their economy was to the United States, it was particularly devastating for them to have a country like the United States close everything off and make it difficult for them, once again, just to be able to put food on their tables, right? And once again, going down there and seeing the people, it really drove home the effects of that economic blockade, right? Which truly is an economic war, and you feel it every second on the ground down there.
Yeah, and I guess so. And it sounds a lot like what happened with Cuba as well in the 1950s, just over a shorter period of time, I suppose. However, basically the U.S. is doing this essentially in the name of anti-communism, anti-socialism. Like it's basically like when these pink tide governments arise in places like, you know, Venezuela, or right now Peru, which we can talk about as well. The U.S. is like sees that as like, we have to like play whack-a-mole here and like knock it out essentially.
Absolutely. What it is it's about stamping out any socialist project before it's allowed to grow or to prosper. It's about making sure there are no actual living, breathing examples of a socialist society that can show other countries, you know, what it looks like, right? Just like, you know, you mentioned Cuba and some of the, you know, there's a little bit of an unrest, quote unquote, going on in Cuba right now, you know, and there's reasons for
the Department is thrilled.
Oh, of course. And there's reasons for why they're so thrilled and why they're going to amplify that, right? Because Cuba, as you mentioned, since the late 50s, since the 60s, right, has provided an example of an alternative, of being able to create your society in a way that is not predicated on constant greed and consumption, right? Oh my God, go figure. But you also touch upon Peru, right? Which, oh my goodness, Peru, it was an amazing experience. And good God, please cut me off at any point, because I could talk about Peru here for like 5 hours. So
well, the good news is I invited you on here to talk to you and to listen to what you have to say. So go off, King.
There we go. Good. I was about to say, we'll see how much time you got. Okay. So, oh my goodness. So And once again, diving a little bit into the background here, right? So it was earlier this year. It was around springtime, right, when Peru was having the first round of their presidential elections. I believe it was April 11th, right? I remember thinking, and I'd say the international community, DSA, the progressive community, the world left or whatever, was all coalescing around the, I suppose, Democratic Socialist or progressive candidate, Veronica Mendoza from the Nuevo Peru party, right, who was running for president in the first round, right? What came as a shock to basically everybody, including everybody in Peru, right? Well, Veronica did not make it to the runoff. That aspect didn't surprise me that much. I knew it was going to be tough for her. But a different leftist candidate did make it to the runoff. Somebody who many commentators probably would have considered even further to the left of Veronica Mendoza.
Pencils out, baby.
Yeah, buddy, you already know. Pencils and hats out. Here we go. I even got this bad boy when I was down there in Peru.
Dude, I want one of those hats. I want one of those hats.
I was about to say, I've been told you're a man that admires a good big hat.
I'm a hat lover. Oh,
Check
wow.
this bad boy
That's
out.
a nice one.
As I say, my headset is making this awkward, but boom, look at that. Look at that. It's beautiful. We love it. We love a good big hat.
We love many people are talking about the big hats.
Yes, they are. And oh my goodness, big hats everywhere in Peru. It was beautiful. But anyways, our boy Pedro Castillo, right? Which, as you've referenced, oh my goodness, this guy can put on a freaking rally. Oh my Lord. Like Pedro Castillo's campaign should be a reminder to the whole left worldwide, the importance and the power of gimmicks, right? Let's give people something to be happy about. Let's give people something to be excited about, right? But I'll get into that.
People don't want to be like on that point. Like people don't want to be like depressed. They don't want to be beaten down. They don't like a Eeyore type of movement. That's not something that people plug into. So I agree with you. Like we got to have some fun. We got to throw some keggers. We got to do some karaoke. You know,
exactly. Cultural events, things like that. Something I like to say: socialism is a verb, right? It's not a noun. We got to do stuff.
You got to do some socialism.
Exactly, community stuff like that. Anyways, So we came across a very interesting situation that had presented itself in Peru, which is a candidate from the far left, right, Pedro Castillo, and good God, a candidate from the far right, Keiko Fujimori, literally the daughter of Alberto Fujimori.
Can you go into the Fujimori background and dynamics with the U.S.?
With pleasure. Keiko's dad, Alberto Fujimori, right, was the Peruvian right-wing dictator of the 1990s. Alberto Fujimori was he was a dark horse candidate from the far right that shocked the Peruvian liberal establishment when he was elected president. I believe the year was 1990, right? When he was elected presidency, it was some would say the height of the Shining Path guerrilla insurgency, right? The Shining Path being Maoist guerrillas that were, across the Peruvian countryside. They were knocking on Lima's door, right? That's another podcast for another day. And Alberto Fujimori did a couple different things, right? One, he brutally cracked down on the Peruvian countryside attacking the Shining Path, to the extent that now the Shining Path, once again being based in the countryside, had a lot of indigenous people in its organization. The strategy that Fujimori and the right-wing dictatorship would use is, this is a town of indigenous people. Okay, let's just kill them all because they're probably all guerrillas, right? Once again, you're indigenous guerrilla, right? Who cares? Senderista, right? Things like that. So definitely bordering on like genocide like levels that happen in Peru. And this happened all across Latin America, it should be said. But this is, of course, the Peruvian story, and this is what happened in Peru. Alberto Fujimori would also suspend the Congress and literally rule the country as a dictator throughout the 1990s.
Right, that is some
yes, it is.
Right there.
Yes, it is. Of course, the United States didn't say anything and loved every second of it and was like, hell yeah, we love it. Screw the Constitution. Let's kill all these leftists. And yes, he was a very close ally of the United States, close enough to the extent that he also adopted a lot of their economic right-wing, shock doctrine economic policies, similar to Pinochet in Chile, right? Cutting social spending and, putting all the brunt of it on the, Peruvian debt on the poor, right? Exactly. And Fujimori would draft his own constitution, right, which comes into play later in the story. His constitution, right, which is the constitution that Peru has to this day. Interestingly enough, Keiko Fujimori, his daughter, actually would be technically first lady of Peru during the 1990s because Alberto would have a divorce with his wife. So Keiko Fujimori, who we are discussing as the right-wing candidate. Exactly. Yeah, well, that's a whole other story. Keiko Fujimori, who we are discussing as the right-wing candidate who ran against Pedro Castillo just a couple months ago, has literally been active in Peruvian politics for over 20 years, right? Over 20 years, she has been a standard bearer of the right, a standard bearer of Fujimorismo, right? The far right ideology of Fujimori, right? Which is, once again, your run of the mill far right Latin American doctrine, right? Bolsonaro, a friend of Keiko Fujimori. For any of my Venezuelan listeners out there, right? Leopoldo Lopez, who's a famous far right Venezuelan figure, he was also in Lima advising Keiko Fujimori on her campaign. So really, internationally, the left and the right looked at Peru and said, my God, the far left versus the far right, how the hell did this happen? Right?
Yeah.
Which it's important to note as well. Like, Peru
it's a pitch battle, baby. Let's go.
Exactly. Like, this is very serious what's going on here. And like Peru, once again, I think there's two important things to note here. One, Peru is a resource-rich powerhouse, right? This is a country that has some of the largest resources of gold in the world, largest resources of copper. You know, this is a country that is very resource rich. This is a country that was the seat of the Inca Empire, right? This is a country with a deep, rich history, right? And this is a country that
thousands of years.
Literally, exactly. This is a country that I like to say, right? It's a country that should be like a regional powerhouse, and historically, as they say, for thousands of years, technically it was, right? Yeah. So it's a country that has been designed to stay in poverty and to stay as like an extractivist nation that provides resources to, you know, the global north, so to speak, right? I think that's an important.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about that we talked about it a little bit earlier, but the context of U.S. foreign policy and literally the Monroe Doctrine still persisting to this very day.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. The United States looking at all of Latin America as its backyard, and therefore just choosing to do whatever it wants to do. Yeah, let's have the president of Haiti assassinated, although I suppose that's speculation, but still things like that, right? Delving into countries' politics to a very paternalistic degree. And that happens in Peru, right?
And in Peru, you were there when it all went down.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So yes, let me talk to you about what that was like. Okay. So going to Peru,
you went. So let's just be clear for our audience. You went. So you and a delegation from DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, went for the election, and y'all sort of participated in that election. In what ways? And you can sort of set that up.
Sure. So interestingly enough, we had a delegation of 5, right, from DSA. It was myself. It was Abdullah Yunus, who's also from the NPC. It was Carlos Ramirez Rosa from the Chicago City Council. There was Marcela Mitines, the New York State Assembly member. And then there was a Peruvian rank and file DSA member, Juan Hong Chung. Once again, he's literally Peruvian, so that made sense. It's important to bring people from the actual country, right? So a crucial distinction, right? We were not merely gringos who took it upon ourselves to say, yeah, let's go to Peru and teach them something about democracy. No, we were invited by people. We're
basically like the socialists, of America are doing the same shit, right?
You'd be surprised. People accused us of that. People were like, why are you trying to lecture them on democracy? Oh, okay, calm down. We were invited. We had friends on the ground who wanted us to come, who said, please, this is a really critically important election. We're worried about what's going to happen. We need people from the United States who have a platform, a megaphone to come down here.
And showing solidarity is that's different than what that sort of interpretation is. And I guess you could make that interpretation in good faith. But like that's not what happened. Essentially, that if people that are saying that are mistaken.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. So we go down to Peru, right? The way this process works, right? We were there as an election observer delegation, right? So what the hell does that even mean, really? Well, we worked in collaboration with a couple different groups. One was the Progressive International, which is an international progressive institution founded by, I believe, Jeremy Corbyn and Yanis Varoufakis, something ridiculous but amazing like that. The Party of the European Left also sent a delegation, and that's exactly what it sounds like. It's the party of all left European parties within the European Parliament, right? And we collaborated with each other on the ground. and also collaborated each other in the process that built up to this delegation. We applied for election observer credentials to what's known as the National Jury of Elections, which is the branch of the Peruvian government that handles this sort of thing. For all intents and purposes, the JNE, right, the National Jury of Elections, essentially tried to intimidate us into not going. They essentially led us on a wild goose chase for about a month. For a month, telling us, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, fine, you guys can come, but send us your financial plan. Oh, no, you got to send us your travel plan. No, you got to send us all this, right? All this stuff, basically saying, yeah, okay, sure, just send these documents and we'll let you come. Until literally
the paperwork offensive.
Yes. So it's literally the weekend before, right? It's the weekend before. We've already got our flights booked, hotels, everything. We, DSA, PI, and PEL, get emails from the JNE all collectively saying, so we have ruled against you guys and we're not going to give you guys observer credentials. Now, what they did give us, interestingly enough, was the full decision, which one of the judges of the National Jury of Elections, it's 4 people, one of the judges ruled in favor of us with a dissenting opinion saying, this is stupid. Why would we not want them here? This is a political decision, right? So we clearly had a case, right? We clearly were like, why is this not happening, right? Why are they not issuing us credentials, right? Are they trying, once again, they're trying to intimidate us. Unfortunately, for some other foreign delegations, the intimidation would work and they wouldn't send people. We had a conversation with the PI, who had a conversation with the PEL, and we were like, no, screw that. We're going to go. We already have our friends on the ground who are welcoming us, who want us there. We're going to go. We talked with some of the other political parties on the ground, and they're like, no, yes, you should still come. We can still help you. Poll watching is still something you guys can do, and it's going to be critically important, right? Mm-hmm. So that was fun. So we go to Lima, right? We're in Lima. It's amazing. It's an incredible experience. The first political billboard I see as soon as I land, in big blue letters, 5 days to vote no to communism.
Now you're in Lima, you say, so this is in the
city. Exactly. Yeah, that's an important distinction, right? Lima, the capital, the largest city, Keiko Fujimori stronghold, very conservative, very, urban, obviously. And that's just a little bit of a taste of the fear mongering, right? The very hateful, like anti-left campaign that the right wing and Keiko Fujimori were running here, right? So very, very fascinating once again to see something that visceral up front. Just, oh my God, 5 days to vote no to communism. What the hell? Right. So once again, remarkable.
God, that's some like 1970s, 1980s shit right there. Like seriously.
Exactly. So exactly. And that's why a lot of the Peruvians, our friends on the ground, were worried. They're like, wow, there's this hate campaign going on against Pedro Castillo, who, like, I think it's also important to be clear as well. Like, if you asked Pedro Castillo if he considered himself a communist, he'd probably say no, right? Now, what I would also add to that is that it's his party, right? The party he comes from, Peru Libre, is considered and considers themselves a Marxist-Leninist political party. So his party, which was a regional party in Peru for a while, which this was their first election really bursting on the national scene, has kind of been thrust into the spotlight because of their candidate, Pedro Castillo, who has been able to just captivate people and really reach into, really build a mass movement, right? With his big cowboy hat and his giant inflatable pencil, right? He's been able to build a mass movement based off of his campaign slogan, which is beautiful. No más pobres en un país rico, right? No more poverty in a rich country, right? Why is Peru so resource rich, and yet so many people here are struggling just to put food on the table, right? And
I was just gonna say, like, just to pause really quickly, like that is a very similar message to what you hear that like popular political campaigns like Bernie Sanders or Jeremy Corbyn or in other places, like that is a bread and butter like message that the left or leftist candidates or left adjacent candidates even to sort of like not be too specific about these guys or whatever, but like those kinds of campaigns generally are. That's good messaging, and that's consistent like across in terms of the electoral left, I suppose.
Absolutely, right? That's how you build a mass movement, right? Let's talk about what people are actually worried about. Let's talk about what people are struggling about, right? What makes people worried, right?
Shared experiences.
And exactly. Let's give them something material, dare I say. But yes, the another part of his campaign.
Imagine that.
Another part of his campaign, probably like his flagship, and right, he said a lot of things that drew attention, right? He talked about nationalizing resources and things like that, but really the flagship proposal of his campaign is, hey, that BS Fujimori constitution that they shoved through Congress in the 1990s when Alberto was dictator, guess what? We're going to shred that thing, right? We're going to shred this right-wing constitution. We're going to start a constituent assembly so that Peruvians can write a new constitution by and for Peruvians, right? A new constitution, which for any of my Latin American history nerds out there, you would know that's exactly how Hugo Chavez came to power, right?
Yep.
He ran in the late 90s. He didn't run saying, oh my God, I'm a far leftist, I'm going to change everything. No. He ran saying, let's get a new constitution. Let's shred this old one, which has done nothing for us. And we're going to start a fifth republic, right? The fifth republic.
Nobody cares how leftist you are when you like.
Exactly. You're reaching the people where they're at, right? Reaching the people where they're at.
Yeah.
But yes, so once again, getting back into the experience in Peru, more specific, because once again,
I could do digressions all day, but yeah, we should probably tell the story.
I was about to say, bro, I could literally rant about this for far too long. So yeah, this story itself, gosh, we met with so many different groups on the ground, What was so humbling was every single meeting, just how happy the people were to see us, how happy the people were to meet us, right? The first meeting we had was with a group known as the Ronderos, right? The Ronderos are essentially campesino, right? Peasant self-defense units, right? These are mostly indigenous groups of people that have provided their own self-defense for their communities and, the rural areas because the state simply doesn't do anything for them, right? They have to provide their own security. They were in the 90s and the 80s protecting themselves from both the Maoists and the government, right? Just trying to live their lives. Pedro Castillo himself was a former Rondero from Cajamarca, the city in northern Peru that he's from. So it was so remarkable to meet. And we met them at the National Agrarian Confederation's headquarters, which was amazing. Like, I'll never forget going outside and seeing this giant building, National Agrarian Confederation, and thinking, good Lord, if only, this is what we need in the United States, right? Strong social movements, strong union movements, right? With a giant building where we can meet with other socialists worldwide and plot, right? But anyway, I digress. So going into this building, right? It was amazing, right? Meeting with these Ronderos these are some hardened people, right? These are people that have seen some things, right?
Some bad motherfuckers.
Absolutely, yes. So what was so taking aback was once again, how happy they were to see us, how happy they were to meet us. And they would drive that point home with us saying, oh my God, it's so important for people in the United States to be here and to understand what's actually happening here and to tell people back in the United States what's happening in Peru, right? We demand a new constitution. We demand plurinationalism, right? A government that governs for all of our different ethnic peoples, right? Rather than just, the elites, right? We demand a movement that is properly socialist, right? 21st century socialist. They clearly consider themselves Chavistas, right? Followers of Chavez or whatever. You could tell in their rhetoric, right? And once again, it was just so humbling to see how happy they were to see us. And this was a common theme throughout all the meetings we had. We met with members of the Communist Party of Peru, Patria Roja, which was started by Jose Carlos Mariátegui, the great Peruvian Marxist. If anybody wants further reading on Peruvian leftism, start with Mariátegui. We met with the Socialist Party of Peru, right? Very good people as well. People that have been in Peruvian politics for decades, right? Very interesting. We met with our homies, Nuevo Peru, which I referenced earlier. They're like the large Democratic Socialist Party. They are essentially the DSA of Peru, right? Very similar politics, very similar space that they occupy within Peruvian politics. Very good people, right? And I think it's important to point out that Nuevo Peru are a feminist party. They're a pro-LGBTQ plus party. I think a lot was made about Pedro Castillo and people trying to smear him and saying, oh, this guy's a machista. Oh, he's a homophobe. He doesn't care about any of these sorts of things. Well, we in DSA took it upon ourselves to, well, let's talk to the Peruvian feminist community. Let's talk to the Peruvian gay community. Let's see what they think about this, right? Everybody we talked to were firm supporters of Pedro Castillo, including Nuevo Peru, who worked out like a deal with Pedro Castillo ahead of time, saying, "Hey, we're let's work with us on social issues. We'll support you." Every single one of them, firm supporters of Pedro Castillo, and once again, you could feel it on the ground. It was amazing. Even in a place like Lima, which once again is a right-wing stronghold, we met so many average people. Because we would talk to people saying, there's an election coming up. Who are you supporting? You see that big communism billboard? Oh my God, what? Who are you supporting? Right? And they would tell us. I'd say that every single person we talked to, except for like one, said to us, "Yeah, I'm supporting Pedro Castillo, right? Because Keiko Fujimori is a corrupto, right? She was, which it should be pointed out, Keiko Fujimori is literally a political criminal and was literally in prison just a year ago for political corruption due to the Odebrecht scandal, right? So, my goodness, once again, this was just a preposterously polarizing election that we felt it was a duty to actually be there for, right? So what the hell was the election day experience like, right? What is poll watching in Lima, Peru? What was everybody doing? How did the votes go? All that good stuff. Okay, well, two interesting things.
I was just about to ask you that.
Yes. Oh yeah. This is what the people want to hear, right? So yes. So luckily, as we were poll watching, right, and we kind of split up, we had different, and we spent our whole time in Lima, as we mentioned, right? God, I would love to go to the rural communities and actually see what that was like, where Castillo's base of support was its highest, right? But even in Lima, we split up in different delegations, or our delegations split up into different mini delegations, going to different barrios, right, for poll watching. And I'm happy to say, at no point did any of us witness any sort of like ballot stuffing or like some guy coming in with a bag of ballots or something ridiculous like that, right? Everything went off without a hitch. Mm-hmm. In fact, I should add kind of a legacy of that 1990s dictatorship. Peru's elections since the 1990s have been pretty well noted for being clean. Exactly. Clean as a whistle. It's not like neighboring Colombia, right? Which every 4 years, it's like, Jesus, what just happened, right? So, yeah.
But the OAS signs off on it, so.
Oh, you already know. Exactly. Oh, God. So, yeah, and we'll talk about them in a moment, right? Clean as a whistle, right? So, once again, we're like, okay, this is, going to be interesting, right? We'll see what happens. Everybody knew going into this election, even while we were there, it was going to be razor thin. Our fear as election observers, and we put a statement out to Peruvian media that day, right? Our fear as election observers was kind of like you were just referencing here, a Bolivia situation, which is to say that the right space of support is so heavy in urban areas, the left space of support is so heavy in rural areas. The urban areas count their votes quicker and come in first. The fear was that Lima, having like 1/4 of the Peruvian population, would report in heavy for Keiko. She would merely declare victory like within an hour before rural votes have counted, and people would just move on and who cares, right? Now,
a lot like what people were concerned that like the Trump strategy was going to be after the November election, right?
Oh yes, we'll get there. We're stopping the steal. You're damn right. But no, we're not. But no, yeah. So yeah, so what happens is, luckily that scenario I just painted, right, did not end up happening. Yeah. What ended up happening where it was, for anybody who was really so amazing, there was both a blessing and a curse in not getting official election observer status, right? Obviously, the bad part is we were not allowed into the polls themselves to actually see the markings and stuff like that, right? We had to do poll watching, right? Making sure there's no incidents. The blessing of not getting actual election observer delegation status is technically we didn't have to be neutral, right? We were there and we could talk to the actual parties running and saying, hey, what is your data looking like? Where are you looking good? What are you feeling bad about? What are you, things like that. So we were talking, with Peru Libre, talking with Nuevo Peru, seeing where things are at. We were at the Peru Libre headquarters, which was called Casa del Maestro. Amazing, right? the teacher's house. So
yeah.
exactly, you already know El Profe. They call him.
My Spanish is very slow.
El Profe, yeah. So, anyways, which by the way, El Casa del Maestro was amazing. I should say, like there were 2 giant like inflatable pencils made out of balloons. Like, oh my goodness, it was ridiculous.
That rules.
Yes, exactly. There's just like the inflatable pencils just around, just in case anybody needs one at any point. Anyways, so like
pencil thunder sticks.
Exactly. Exactly. It was amazing. But anyways, so what's remarkable is, so the first thing that comes in is the exit polls, right? The exit polls show a narrow win for Keiko Fujimori. So everybody's just like, oh, great, they're gonna steal it, right? Something's up. This is BS, right? This is not gonna be good. Oh my God, where's the OAS at? Let's get Omagro on the phone, right? Things like that. But I should drive home the point that people are still optimistic too, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons people are still optimistic is Keiko Fujimori has run for president of Peru twice before, and both times she won the exit polls, only to lose the actual election. So this has happened before, right? And plus they're exit polls, right? People lie in exit polls.
Got to keep the streak alive.
Exactly. And you damn right we kept the streak alive. So what happens after that is what comes out is the quick count. The quick count comes out, which is a thing that we don't have in the United States, right? What the quick count is it's essentially it's a projection based off a sampling of real counted ballots in different parts of the country. So they'll count a ballots in a place that is representative of this part of the country and project that onto the rest. When that quick count came out, the quick count showed basically literally what the final result was, which is a narrow win for Pedro Castillo. And as soon as we saw that quick count, we knew it. We knew he was going to win. We knew he was going to win because the quick count, unlike the exit polls 2 times before, was pretty accurate for who the winner was going to be. So at this point, jubilation, right? We're breaking out the Cuban cigars, right? We're breaking out the rum, like it's party time, right? Everybody's happy. It's beautiful, right? Breaking out the finest ceviche that Lima has, right? Things like that, which, oh my God, I'm still dreaming about the ceviche. Delicious. But no, it's just amazing, right? Everybody's happy, beautiful. Despite Pedro Castillo, and as the votes came in, this was confirmed, right? This we've got 100% of votes in, and it was basically exactly what it portrayed, right? 50.2% for Pedro Castillo, something like that. Oh yeah. Despite
Super
that,
squeaker.
Oh yeah, exactly. This was our second concern, right? I said the first one was Keiko declaring victory early. The second was it's going to be so razor thin that Keiko will do a stop the steal and say, no, actually, we need to rule out 100,000 ballots just because I feel like it, right? Mm-hmm. And that the right wing would just go, oh yeah, duh, of course we're gonna do this, Yeah. So basically, and good God, I haven't even really gotten a chance to check the news yet regarding Peru because there might be an announcement today. I heard, but we'll see.
Maybe we'll have some breaking news.
God, I hope so. I pray to God because still, what I'm getting at here is that still. Almost more than a month after. It's been a month since votes have been fully counted in Peru. And still, the National Jury of Elections, right, the same body that I referenced that tried to intimidate us into not going, has still not certified Pedro Castillo as president, right? Mm-hmm. Which is remarkable, right? It's amazing. 100% of votes in a month later, still he's not been certified as president. And still, Keiko Fujimori has not conceded. Literally going on a stop the steal tour saying, oh my God, somehow they stole this, even though like the right wing's in power, doesn't make any sense, right? And it's once again, the second we left Peru, basically every single person that we met in Peru, from the unions we met with, the political parties we met with, feminist groups we met with, activists, whatever, every single one of them was raising alarm bells to us, saying, hey, this is kind of scary. What's going on with Keiko? Like, we're afraid they're going to do like a preemptive military coup or something like that and stop Pedro before he takes power. Every single one of us saying this. Now, we were encouraged, believe it or not, by the statement the OAS would put out. The OAS put out a statement, probably a little bit of covering their ass sort of thing since they ate so much shit in Bolivia, right? They put out a statement saying, this election was fair. This was clean. There's nothing to see here, right? Even the Peruvian Navy put out a statement saying, hey, anybody calling for us to intervene, it's not going to happen. You guys just got to shut up, right?
Good.
Interesting. Exactly. Good. These were encouraging signs for us. And yet, despite all that, because the media in Peru is so right wing, right? There's a media blockade. Like I say, 5 days to vote no to communism, right? That's how the media would talk and act.
The same media, by the way, that released the exit polls, right?
Exactly. You're exactly. There you go. Yeah, exactly. So this media, so right wing. It's interesting in the international community, right? I'd say this story has kind of been getting reported as kind of just that, like, aha, look at Keiko with her stop the steal, whatever, good luck. In Peru, very different. They take it very seriously because Peruvian media is so right wing. They've been pushing it and saying, oh my God, we need to scrutinize these votes. And how did this happen over here? Maybe there was systemic fraud. We got to stop this, right? Even the Peruvian liberal establishment, the celebrated liberal author Mario Vargas Llosa, has come out in support of Keiko Fujimori and her claims, right? Of course, just validating that liberals will, side with fascists when the chips really fall, as we've seen time and time again historically. But once again, though I am optimistic, and like I said, there might even be we're hoping there's an announcement today, the official certification. We'll see though. Even though I'm optimistic that Castillo is going to get certified and everything's going to be okay there, this is still a very serious situation, right?
Yeah.
And it only becomes more apparent to me how serious it is when I look at what's happening in Haiti, right? We talked about the president. When I look at what's happening in Cuba right now, and I don't even know if we even have time to talk about this, but Venezuela, when I think about what was happening in Venezuela too, right? I got
as much time as you got, by the way. So,
well, okay, beautiful. I'll try and do the Venezuela story quick in that case. But once again, the sabotage, right, going on by the right wing from the United States, the State Department from the right wing that is throughout Latin America, right? I think Castillo is going to be okay, right? But just the fact that I have to say, I think, right, it's just a terrifying thought in and of itself, right? This guy should be certified president already. He should already have his presidential transition team set up. Yeah. But unfortunately, he cannot do that until the JNE certifies him, which is we'll see if that happens. I don't know. Were you able to find any news reports? Now I'm getting paranoid. I'm about to Google this real quick.
I looked. I didn't see anything fresh. Last report I see just on Pedro Castillo's name is the 29th of June.
Well, good lordy. Here we go. Let me check this out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the JNE's Twitter. Right. Let's see what these fools are up to. Oh, something. Oh no, last night. No, still nothing.
JNE?
Yeah, JNE Peru. Yeah, still nothing. Well, we'll see. I'm gonna be crossing my fingers and we'll see what happens today. Anyways, the Venezuela story, right? Because I would also love to give you a little bit of a window into what what it was like going to Venezuela, which, oh goodness, that had quite a few people very curious about what that exactly went like.
So just lay it out. So we sent a delegation also to Venezuela. Who did we talk to down there? What's going on? What did you see out there?
Sure. Yeah. Oh goodness. Oh, where do I even start? So, oh my goodness. So there's a reason we went down to Venezuela, right? The DSA delegation.
Oh, I got a good question. Actually, I'm sorry. I got a question.
Please.
From chat. Isn't there a deadline that if Castillo doesn't get certified by, it'll go to a member of Congress that's a Fujimori supporter? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to roll back too much.
No. Yeah. So I believe that is, in fact, accurate. I think there's 2 more weeks. Until he gets official certification where, it would essentially go to a member of Congress. Now, members of the Peruvian establishment, including the incumbent president of Peru, have been trying to say to the JNE, hey, you guys got to certify somebody. You got to certify Castillo if you want. So once again, this adds to my, I guess, optimism in that we'll get a certification before that happens. And I must say, if they don't certify him and that happens, the right wing in Peru, the right wing in the United States, they're super naive if they think, oh, haha, you didn't get certified. We're done here. We got Peru back. Haha.
Gotcha.
Oh, Oh no, those people I met in Peru, they're prepared to fight. Those people I met in Peru, they are not just gonna see them win an election and have it literally stolen from them and just go, okay, well, that sucks. No, these people were mobilizing in the streets literally the night of the election after the exit polls came out because they were worried some sort of fuckery was going to happen, right? These people were mobilized in Lima, and they will be mobilized again, not just his Lima base, but the base in the rural communities too, which if you look at those vote totals, you look at cities, rural cities like Ayacucho, over 80% support for Pedro Castillo.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing,
that
right?
Pretty amazing.
Yes, these people will descend onto Lima, and to say that it would potentially get ugly would be a little bit of an understatement. Mm-hmm. So once again, the right wing in Peru, the right wing in the United States is super naive if they think they can just stop Castillo from taking power and it'll be, oh, cool, we're good. To me, what I think, if I was a sophisticated right winger, right, and what I think the sophisticated right wingers are thinking and planning is, okay, fine, he won, let him take office. We've still got the Congress. We can sabotage his whole agenda. Let's just sabotage him internally, right? That's what I think, which is why I go back to Pedro Castillo's campaign promise, the new constitution. It's critically important. It's crucial. The Congress in Peru has so much power. I mean, they literally impeached like 2 or 3 presidents in the last couple of years, or I think 1 resigned and the other 2 got impeached. Something crazy like that, right? The new constitution process is so critically important for anything that Pedro Castillo is going to get done, especially because of a country like Peru, which does have a deeply entrenched right wing, right? Which was the capital of the Lima group, right? The right wing alliance in Latin America. It's not going to be easy. There's a tough road ahead. Believe it or not, but when socialists get elected to office, you can't just click the socialism button and smooth sailing. No, it's hard. It's a struggle. Right?
If that were the case,
exactly.
If only that were the case.
Exactly. Which brings me to Venezuela, right?
Yes.
A country that did get socialists in office. And they've learned, oh, no, there ain't no socialism button, right? This is a struggle.
The hard way.
Yes, this is a struggle. This is not easy. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have to learn from those mistakes, right?
And the U.S. is going to try and pop us like a pimple.
Oh, yes. Still, it's remarkable. It's remarkable. So, oh my goodness. So Venezuela, right? So the reason we sent a delegation to Venezuela was to attend an international gathering that the Venezuelans were putting on. The Bicentennial Congress of the Peoples. Now, what the hell is the Bicentennial Congress of the Peoples? Well, this was an international event celebrating the 200th anniversary of the Battle of Carabobo. The Battle of Carabobo being the battle that guaranteed Venezuela's independence from the Spanish. So this is a big event. This is a huge, this is very important to Venezuelans. Should be very important to the world, I would say, as well. 200th anniversary of Venezuelan independence. An unequivocally good thing, right? That led to the abolition of slavery in Venezuela and Colombia and Ecuador, right? This is a good thing. This gathering saw participants from Europe, from North America, obviously from South America, from Africa, Asia, everywhere. There were hundreds and hundreds of people there, right? This gathering was amazing, right? Meeting people from across the world, meeting socialists from across the world. I met Evo Morales, hilariously enough, which was an amazing story in and of itself.
We can get into Bolivia even too later, but we don't need to do it today.
No, we'll say that for another day. It was amazing. So the first day we're there for the Congress, right? The opening plenary is given by Adán Chávez, who's Hugo Chávez's little brother. Mm-hmm. So just that is amazing, right? He looks like Hugo, talks like Hugo. I'm just like, oh my goodness, what's happening right now? There were, as I mentioned, Evo Morales was there. Piedad Cordoba was there, a famous Colombian human rights activist. There were prominent members from the Spanish left there. There were prominent members of the Palestinian left there. There were prominent members of the Salvadoran left there that were featured speakers. Everything you could possibly imagine, right?
All the heads of the 5 families.
Oh, yes. Oh, hell yeah. But for me, the most amazing thing to be able to see in Venezuela, the most humbling, privileging thing, is that a word, privileging thing to see in Venezuela and be a part of, was meeting with the communes, the comuneros, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell does that mean? What am I talking about? Communes, right? Well, in Venezuela, for the first 10, 13 years of the socialist project, right, when Chavez was really in power, a lot of that time was spent fighting the right wing for all intents and purposes, right? The right wing, which tried to recall him consistently, the right wing, which cooed him in 2002, the right wing managerial class, which tried to do an oil lockout, right? Which a lot of that was spent, uniting the people against this internal sabotage, right? It wasn't until Chavez was already on his deathbed and about to die that the commune project, what I would call the true manifestation of socialism, of workers owning the means of their production in Venezuela in our time, right, began to manifest itself. These communes are essentially groups of people, groups of families, right, hundreds of families, right, so it's thousands of people, right, that come into a community. They make their own food, they make their own clothes, they hold everything in common. Literally, any funds they raise from things goes to the commune bank, things like that. It's literally a commune, right? And this was the project that Chavez himself saw as the beginning, once again, of that new step forward of the folding in, so to speak, of the Venezuelan state, and the beginning of the growth of truly the people taking over the control of the state, right? The withering away of the state, dare I say. And it was once again on Chavez's deathbed that, he said to Nicolas Maduro and the rest of the Socialist Party of Venezuela, comuna o nada, right? Commune or nothing, right? The communes is the way forward. The communes is the future of Venezuela, right? And so the Maduro government, once again, despite, its faults, despite, mistakes they've made, has continued to amplify and platform that commune project of, once again, average Venezuelans, average workers, truly taking the means of production into their own hands, quite literally.
And also state resources being directed towards support or planting that seed.
1,000,000%. And for many reasons they do this, right? One, because it's literally part of the project and literally the goal, right? And two, for the last 5 years, Venezuela's essentially been, you referenced the Cuban special period, right? Venezuela's essentially had to go through like a 5-year special period because of how bad the sanctions have become, because of the decline in the price of oil. And because of this, the communes have come to a place where it's like, they're the key to self-sustainability for Venezuela, to food sovereignty for Venezuela.
Building any sort blocks, of like literally building blocks in the house of communism.
Exactly. So me, a nerd, right? A Venezuela nerd, no less. I'm most looking forward to meeting these people, right? To seeing, okay, well, what the hell is this really about, right? What is this? What am I expecting to see, right? Before I went to Venezuela, right, I've read the book Building the Commune by George Chicarello Mar. I encourage that for anybody who wants further reading there, Building the Commune, right? My conception of the communes was based on like the most famous ones, right? El Maizal, which is a massive commune in, I think it's Guarico state. Lara. I believe it's in Lara state, which is in the west of Venezuela. A massive commune where they grow corn. They process corn, and corn is very important to the Venezuelan diet, like most Latin American countries. You got to make arepas out of corn. We love our arepas. Oh, and yes, the arepas are very good. I also knew about the pioneros, right? The pioneers, who are essentially squatters in Caracas, in the urban areas, who essentially have squatted on unused urban land and like build their own houses on it, right? Which I think the pioneros are such an important example, right? Which is, these are the Venezuelan government, the situation in Venezuela. It's not that there isn't concentrated wealth still in the hands of rich people in Caracas. There is. It's not like there's no longer an elite in Caracas. There is, right? Once again, you don't just click the socialism button. But because the communes and the people have a government that supports their project, it manifests itself in ways such as the example I'm about to give, which is the pioneros, right? They'll find unused land, usually in wealthier parts of Caracas. They'll squat on it and say, guess what? We're going to build our houses here, right? unlike in the United States, where 10 cities are destroyed by crews and stuff like that, which happens all across the world.
Armed cops. Here it's armed cops just like taking out like under the bridge.
Exactly. Unlike that, right? They have a government that says, okay, apply for a permit for us, so we know that you exist. We know what people you're providing for, and we can protect you. We can help you, right? And that's how these pioneros operate in places like Caracas. And that's not to say that this engagement that the communes have to have with the Venezuelan bureaucracy doesn't get messy at times. Of course it does, right? It's a bureaucracy, right? It's a government, right? I don't understand anybody who looks at a government and says, oh my God, this bureaucrat did this. It's evil.
I can't believe the government's not perfect.
Exactly. And I look at that on both sides of the coin, which is I don't understand anybody who looks at a government as like uniquely perfect or uniquely evil, right?
Yeah.
There's nuances, right? There's things we can learn in both sides of that equation, right? But once again, to me, my conception of the communes was based on the most famous ones, right? El Maizal, Pioneros, various different urban communes, things like that. What I didn't really fully grasp until I was down there meeting with them, talking to them. And once again, this is an example of the fact that Venezuela has essentially gone through like a 5-year special period.
Mm-hmm.
These communes, they do everything. It's amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We went to these communes. They're making food for themselves. They're making their own clothes for themselves. They're cleaning up their communities themselves. They're providing protection for themselves. They do everything, right? Literal mini states, right? In many ways, like that. They vote on everything together. They have their representatives that speak on things together. They do cultural activities together. It was amazing, right? To see this like in front of my eyes, just like, oh my God. Like, and once again, it's a reminder of, it's stunning to me how anybody could know this exists and think, there's nothing to be gained from learning anything from Venezuela. That's stunning to me, right? Just because of, mistakes that have been made. It doesn't make sense to me. But once again, we talk to these communes who like would tell us, we're talking to like a couple neighboring communes and we're beginning plans to start a communal city, right? They're building communal cities, right? So this is a project that is, of course, very threatening to global capital, right? Very threatening to the United States, and a big reason of why they feel the need to strangle Venezuela, right? Because if these communes keep growing and build communal cities and begin to truly be able to govern themselves. Like there's even talks of like communes like having relations with like the Zapatistas in Chiapas and stuff like that. And like, oh yeah, let's trade and do things like that.
That's sick.
What? Like that's incredible, right? So like once again, this is something to be learned from. This is something to be championed in my mind. And once again, we talking a little bit more about the specifics as well. Like we met some of the communes in Caracas, right? I was able to meet to go to the commune or I was able to go to the barrio 23 de enero, right? The 23rd of January barrio, which is known as like one of the most militant like Chavista barrios. The Communist Party was active there in like the 60s. Like it's just a famous place. And it was once again amazing to see that they do everything. I went there during like they were doing like a dance show and stuff like that. Like it was amazing. People were singing, dancing. Oh, it was incredible, right? And once again, the food was delicious wherever you went. It's funny. Quick side note. I knew about arepas, right? Who doesn't know about arepas? I even knew about tequeños, right? Which is maybe a little bit under the radar for people in the United States, but equally delicious. What I had no clue about, cachapas. Oh my goodness, cachapas. Woo! Okay, so like many Latin American foods, right? Like the concept of many Latin American foods, right? Let's get a tortilla and see exactly how much shit we can shove in here, right?
Yeah.
Same concept, except not tortilla. It's like pancake. It's like pancake that they use to put like steak and like egg and like all these other things. And I'm just like,
some thick boys, huh?
Oh, you already know. So I'm just like, my God, why have I never thought of something this genius? Right? It's almost like because of my sick American brain, I'm almost thinking of like the McDonald's McGriddle concept. Like, oh my God, we're not using a bun, we're using pancake instead. This is brilliant. But yes, it was. I'll be dreaming about cachapas till the day I die.
Oh,
right? I'm gonna have to try and figure something out here. Make some cachapa up here. I'm sure somebody's doing it. I'm in Virginia though, so there's not really a Venezuelan community here. So I'm gonna have to go somewhere else. Anyways, no, the food was delicious wherever we went. It was amazing, and once again, same theme that we had in Peru. Anybody we met with was so happy to meet people from the United States. A lot of these people, like especially in the Peruvian example, and to some extent in the Venezuelan example, right? They have issues with their bureaucracy. A lot of these people, they get ignored in their own country. So to have people from the United States that they can talk to, can tell their story, it meant so much to them. Like I literally can't drive that point home enough. Funny story. We met with PDVSA, right? The oil company, the infamous oil company of Venezuela. And shockingly enough, that was one of our most humbling meetings. Like I can't even stress it enough. Like we were meeting with like the general manager of like the refinery and stuff like that, and obviously talking about like, okay, well, obviously oil's like oil, like what is the plans here and things like that. And like it was remarkable to me. Like I'll never forget what the general manager said to us at the beginning. He said something to the effect of like, yesterday I was told that people from the United States would be visiting us here today. And at the time, I didn't believe it. I was, people from the United States, they want to talk to us. Mm-hmm. And now, as I stand here in this room with all of you, I still don't believe it. Right. And to me, that's just so humbling. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, and it's just a reminder of the power and the responsibility that we in DSA have as the largest socialist organization in the United States. Right. These people are counting on us. Right. These people are counting on us to be able to pressure our government to say, hey, you got to end this blockade, end the sanctions, let these people eat, right? Let these people provide for themselves, right?
And we're in a key position here because we actually do have some level of influence over the empire, or at least like on paper we do. Like I'm not gonna like pretend that you can do something you can just like vote your way out of or anything like that, but like we actually have the ability when we withhold our labor or when we act collectively in the United States, we can actually defuse some of the sharpest parts of that killing machine.
1,000,000%. And in my mind, that begins with normalization, right? Let's treat these Venezuelans like they're normal people and not like this weird boogeyman pariah. And that means going there and meeting them. And 2, learning from them, right? Learning from them, learning from their successes and their failures. Once again, learning that this process, as you say, it doesn't just end at the ballot box, right? This process is messy sometimes. This process is not easy. It's difficult, right? And we should recognize that. We should know that, right? I hope people realize that if, Bernie ever was elected president, you think he just, once again, clicks the socialism button and, okay, cool, police violence doesn't exist anymore and black people are safe now. No.
Just snaps his fingers.
I wish. There's
like
still
Thanos, but like instead of destroying half the population, he just like institutes socialism.
All the cops are gone. Boom. Yeah. If only. Yeah. So there's still going to be police violence, right? It's still going to be dangerous to be of darker skin in parts of this country, right? And we should recognize that, right? It's a process, right? We're supposed to be proper Marxists, right? We look at the contradictions and we try to understand them, right? And I think that's very important. And once again, the meeting with the PDVSA, the oil company, was humbling. Almost as humbling as our last meeting of the week, which caused quite a stir on Twitter, as I'm sure many people probably saw.
Y'all have piqued the interest of the chair of the Republican Party, the national chair of the Republican Party, among others. You had a nice write-up in the National Review. The haters were mad.
And I'm not going to say anything. I'm not trying to put my tinfoil hat on, but earlier this week, or literally the week when we got back, the DSA website was down from like a DDoS attack.
I remember that.
And that has never happened before, at least since I've been on the NPC. So once again, I know I'm putting my tinfoil hat on, but anyways. And I'll wrap up with this story here, because once again, I don't want to take up too much of your time here. But so this meeting that we had, right? This meeting that we had. It's after we've met with PDVSA, right? The oil company. Our attaches, right? Because we got people with us for the trip, making sure, we have translators and people we can actually communicate with. They say to me, hey, so, and I should also point out as well, when we met with PDVSA and some of these communes, we were in the Venezuelan countryside, right? Specifically, we were in the state of Anzoátegui, which is about 5 hours east of Caracas, right? So our attaches, they take me aside. They say to me, hey, tomorrow when we go back to Caracas, we're meeting with the president. And I'm just kind of like, okay. Like, don't get me wrong. I knew this. We knew that this was going to happen, right? This was something that had been talked about for a couple of days, but scheduling conflicts had made it kind of difficult. But this was also something that we thought was important to do, right? Precisely because of that goal of normalization, right? We shouldn't be looking at Venezuela or their president as this boogeyman, as this pariah, right? This isn't to say it's a full-throated endorsement of everything Maduro or his government has done. Of course not, right? It's once again normalizing, saying, hey, let's learn from each other. Let's begin dialogue. Let's talk to each other, right? So what the hell was the meeting like, right? Very interesting experience. It's not every day that you meet with a head of state, right? I sure have never done that before, unless Evo counts, but I guess he was not in power anymore. And that was literally a week before.
Right.
So yeah, we're able to meet with Maduro, and he's a super chill dude, funny as hell, dare I say, right? Probably the most hilarious anecdote that I put on Twitter, which in hindsight, I was like, should I have put this on Twitter? I guess it's too late now.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah, exactly. He says to me, we're talking. He says to me, he's like, so where are you from? And I say to him, oh, I'm from Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, to be exact. And I'm, so so taken aback, like, oh my God, the president of Venezuela, like I can barely, like my brain can barely process, right? He says to me, he goes, Virginia, is that where the CIA is? And I say to him, I'm like, because I'm so taken aback, and my God, this is the president of Venezuela, I respond in earnest, right? Like actually answering his question. I say to him, oh, that's an hour north of me, right? Because the CIA, CIA
is not from the CIA.
Exactly. And the CIA is they're in Langley, right, in Maryland, on the other side of DC. Yeah. So they're like an hour north of me. And Maduro, he just goes, oh, okay. And he says to me, he goes, when you go back, tell them I said hi. So I'm just like, at this point, my brain has melted, right? My soul has come out of my body. I'm just like, oh,
that's
geez.
hilarious.
The whole room just busts out laughing, right? Because obviously he's joking, right? Tenny Fed's listening to this. It was a joke. Relax. And everybody, once again, it was just a jubilant sort of mood. Like his translator that he had for us to translate things into English, she was busting his balls the whole meeting too, right? Like it was super, like this was like anybody who tries to portray this as like some weird, like super authoritarian, oh my God, attention, sir. Yeah. That was not what it was like, even in the slightest, right? In fact, he even gave us, what's it called? He gave us, do I have it here? No, unfortunately I don't. He gave us at the end of the meeting copies of his favorite Simon Bolivar biography. It's a real thick boy too, so I'm gonna have to dive into that at some point, which was once again an amazing thing to.
Which one is it, by the way?
It's one I've never heard of before. It's by an author named Tomas Alcantara Polanco, and it's just called it's just like the biography of Simon Bolivar, and it is translated in English, and it's a big old one. So I'm once again I'm a nerd, so I will definitely dive into it. It's been a while since I read a good Bolivar biography anyway, so that's cool. But yes, that was the last meeting of the week, and I could talk for hours and hours about, oh my God, this commune and that one and this happened over here. And when I was in Peru, I tried the fried guinea pig, right? That's a whole story in and of itself. But once again, I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I do appreciate being able to at least give a window of what exactly these delegations were like, because as we said at the top, these are so important, right? It's so important to take international solidarity seriously. It's so important for socialists in the United States to put our money where our mouth is, right? To actually go to a place like Peru during this very polarizing presidential election, struggle with them, right? To actually go to Venezuela, where once again, it's tough for people to just get food on their table, right? Actually struggle with them and see what is it like here, right? What is actually, the right wingers say all the time, you talk about the chair of the Republican Party, right wingers say all the time, oh, you like socialism? Go to Venezuela. Well, that's exactly what we just did, right? Yeah. That's exactly what we just did. Cry about it.
Got the T-shirt, everything.
Exactly. You damn right I did. Got some hats too. But it's amazing. It's amazing though, seeing on Twitter, right, how many people would say those things, right? But as soon as we go down there, no, that doesn't count. No, no, you're not supposed to do it like that. Well, too bad. That's what we did. Cry about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, anyway, thank you so much.
Yes.
You also have a podcast called Machete Mate, right? Can you want to talk a little bit about that just on your way out?
Absolutely. I'll happily plug my projects here.
Plug away.
I do a podcast called Machete Mate, right? It is we call it a revolutionary Marxist program for people in the diaspora. Specifically, what our goal is to cover events in Latin America from a left-wing perspective in English, right? Because we see often how reports
it doesn't exist here.
Exactly. And we see often how people, will because of the language barrier, people will try and manipulate stories from Latin America and try and portray them differently in the United States, right? My favorite example, I love Marco Rubio's the biggest culprit of this sort of stuff, right? Yeah. I love a couple years back when Marco Rubio did the response to the State of the Union back when Obama was president, and he did an English one and a Spanish. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, there you go. Exactly. Oh, that creepy guy. But yeah, I remember he did an English version and a Spanish one, right? And it was remarkable. How different the subject matter was, right? Because obviously in Spanish, he's like, oh yeah, totally, we're going to take care of the immigrants. In English, yeah, we're going to lock them all up, right? So amazing. So once again, we try and do our best to get through that language barrier and cover things that happen in Latin America from a leftist perspective in English. Check us out. We drop an episode. We try to drop an episode every Saturday. So in fact, we're dropping an episode pretty soon here, which is really cool. You can also find me on Twitter, unfortunately, right? We're all on Twitter. At Gaius, Gaius _ Gracchus, Gracchus _ because I am a giant nerd and used a Roman handle. Brothers Gracchi, look it up. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar.
Oh, there you go. Exactly. Then you get the extreme, how nerdy of a reference that is.
That is a pretty nerdy reference.
Yes. Anyways, yes, that's. You
Hopefully, don't end up like he did, though.
I was about to say, I don't want to bring it full circle. My brother, my brother who also does activism, right, and does my podcast with me, his Twitter handle is Gracchus for Tiberius. Once again, because we're nerds, and yes, they both ended up getting killed. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
F's in the chat, folks.
Exactly. Exactly. But once again, thank you so much, and I'm sure I'm always happy to whenever we do another election observer delegation, and if I'm a part of it, I'll be happy to come back.
Yeah. You're definitely always welcome to do so. Thanks. All right. Well, I think we're just going to wrap it up real quick. Thank you, everybody, for watching Good Morning Comrade. This has been a great episode with Austin Gonzalez. That's going to be it. If you want to support our program, you can go to patreon.com/Good Morning Comrade. You can be like our patrons. We're trying to get to 25. You can be like Digitty, Michael H., Dan O., Jonathan H., Timothy C., Dragon Slayer 19, Andy L., Gary W., Kenneth F., Adam R., Trey M., Watermelon Pickle, and Penelope D. And you can do so by going to patreon.com/Good Morning Comrade. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We love you. Goodbye.
Peace.